Good morning, beautiful friends. It's so good to see you again. This is Susanna with Spark Organizing, and today we are covering a Facebook Live series. This is part 1 on my favorite apps for your home and your life to be more productive and organized. So this is, like I said, part 1. I'm going to cover a couple of my foundational apps that I think are the most important ones to have set up for a digital life. This is sort of an overview of a lot of the apps that I use, I love, I set up for my clients and my coaching people and all of those things. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope that you ask me questions if you have any questions. One of my favorite things to do is figure out apps and what's worth downloading and what you should just skip, because there are so many apps out there. It's impossible to try them all and use them all. Before I hop into some of these apps, I do want to say my disclaimer of please do not use every app that you ever see. Oh, hi, Mary. Don't use every app that you ever see me talk about. Just pick a few that you really enjoy, save these videos for later, add these on as you get in the habit of using the ones that you first install. So just do 1 or 2 at a time until they become a habit, or else this could become really overwhelming if you install all the apps that we talk about and try to use them all at once. So pick a few, start with those. I'm going to cover today just the basic ones that I love and depend on the most, that I believe are the foundation. And yeah, we'll go from there. Throughout this series, you'll also hear me talk about some apps for managing your to-do lists, if you're a business person, managing mileage, expenses, scheduling employees, setting meetings and knowing who you're going to meet with and more about them. We'll talk about some home life apps, grocery shopping apps that you can share with your family, the rewards cards apps, all the things that make life a little bit easier, and we'll talk about general productivity. Everything from my favorite calendar apps and to-do apps to some of the methods that I use to stay focused and what apps support that. So stick with me through the series. Let's dive right in with, these are two of my absolute favorite apps that I think are the most important to get set up first. So if you're not already digital or if you're looking to go back to basics, this is the way that I would recommend. We're going to try this out with my computer screen. This is going to be new to see if this works, but I want you to get a view of what I'm talking about. So let's see how this will work. Now, if I do that on the screen, sorry, it's going to take a moment. Clunky the first time, every time, right? But I want to make sure that you get the most out of this. So, there we are. And we're going to pause right there. And hopefully Facebook will adjust our screens in a second. They should. They're usually good about it. I promise we're almost there. Okay, now we're starting to get there. Thank you, Facebook. And this is just one of my cell phones that I use as a work phone. And you can see a bit on the screen. I don't know if Facebook will make it any darker for us, but we can try. But this is a bit on the screen of my home screen. And we will be walking through my first app that I feel everybody should use. It does not need to be this app, but everybody should use some function similar. So what I use for passwords is called Lastpass. And I love Lastpass. I think it's so important to have strong, secure passwords. I actually did an entire course on lynda.com about Lastpass, trying to tell people more about how to use it. So if you go to lynda.com and look up Lastpass, there, that's a little bit better, then you're going to learn a lot more. And I think next week I'll probably get a bigger screen. Oh, good. I'm glad you love LastPass too, Ruth. It has been life-changing for me. So LastPass, what it does is it will save your passwords for you. It works across multiple platforms. So whether you're on your desktop, iPad, iPhone, Android, it works on pretty much everything. Let me pull it up. One of the nice things is you can set the security levels to whatever you want them to be, as secure or loose as you prefer. They have double authentication and different ways to make it even more secure. They have been attempted to be hacked multiple times, and I have yet to ever have any of my information go anywhere, and I've been with them for a very long time. So that says a lot. I'm pretty sure that this is one of the most secure LastPass apps. Oh, thank you, Ruth, for posting that. That's perfect. That's the LastPass course. This is going to be an overview. If you want the down and dirty details, that course will tell you more. So within LastPass, the reason why I like this one, there are some other ones like I mentioned that are very good and also have similar capabilities. LastPass, when you open up, let's click edit. See, there's my security. There, let's click edit, and you can see, I hope, on the screen, all of the information that it saves. So it will save the URL. You can organize things into folders. You can name it. So I usually use a name that I would search for. For this, I would search for Dropbox, but sometimes if it's one of those apps that I might not remember the name of the app, I'll name it whatever I would search for. It will save your username, and then if you click on the little eyeball, you can see the password. Now, what's different about LastPass versus some of the things you just do at home, pardon that, is that you can use it to generate passwords. So if you were to click Generate New Password, it will come up with passwords for you. In order to have a very strong password, you can change the length, make the password, as you can see, ridiculously long, or make it much shorter, depending on what your website requires. You can also select what types of symbols it uses, that type of thing. So I use this type of password generation for all of the sites that I don't need to be able to type in my password quickly. Something where I can use LastPass to look up what that password is, because there's no way I would remember this on my own, but this is the type of password that I use to secure something like my LastPass, because it's going to be the most important. And then within LastPass, like I mentioned, you can save in folders, you can save multiple different sites. You also have secure notes, so that's a great place to store things like social security numbers, if you're comfortable with that online. Health ID cards, you can store photos or notes in there. And then form fills is nice because that you can store your personal information, credit card information, and LastPass works with the different browsers. It has its own browser on the app itself, which is a secured browser. So you can log onto these platforms by simply tapping on it and hitting launch, and it will go to the site, and depending on your settings, you can set it to even log in for you automatically with just a tap. This works on the computer as well. Or you can go and just view your information and then open up a site through a regular browser and just type it in yourself, which still works. Also with LastPass, I really enjoy that you can share passwords with family and coworkers. The nice thing is you have the choice of whether they see the password or not. So you can share logins where they have to click to launch, but they never actually see the password, which is super handy. As I mentioned, one of my most secure passwords that I actually need to remember is for LastPass. So the way that works, I'm a little cockeyed, but the way that works is within my passwords, LastPass only needs one password to log in. So I only really need to remember one password in order to get access to all of my passwords, which I appreciate. So that password needs to be really secure though, because it handles all of my passwords. If somebody has this password, then it's possible they could get into all of my passwords. Of course, I've got double authentication set up and all these different layers, so it's very unlikely that they would ever get to my passwords, even if they knew it, but I'm not going to take that chance. So within Lastpass, you set your master password, and that's what unlocks everything. In order to set a strong master password, my favorite trick is to come up with a phrase that I enjoy and build the password off of that. So for example, let me pull this up again. For example, for this Lastpass course, I created a sample video or a sample password, and as you can see, oh, everything's backwards, sorry. As you can see, I've got my login, and then I've got a really strong password, TI4MFBLV4F : parenthesis. Now the phrase I based this on that I can remember is, this is for my Facebook Live videos for friends. So it's pretty simple to then turn that into a password. TI, this is 4, number 4, MFB, my Facebook, L Live. You just go along like that, and then of course for me that's a smiley face at the end, because I'm a big goofball and I love smiley faces. Yes, I Love Susie is a great password. I suggest everybody use that one, Jeff. So that's how you build a very strong password that is memorable. And that's the most important thing. Make it memorable. I enjoy doing things that make me smile too. So a lot of the times my master password, this is just for the sample Lastpass account, so it won't actually log you into anything useful at all besides what you just saw on the screen. But my real Lastpass account usually has a password that is inspiring to me at that moment. So it usually ties into whatever goal I'm working on, or whatever quote that I'm loving at the time, or something that just makes me giggle. I've used song lyrics that make me laugh. Whatever it is, make it yours. And with online storage, I usually say only store what you're comfortable storing online. Everybody's level of security is different as far as what makes them feel comfortable. So for me, I'm a lot more comfortable storing things online. I've been doing it for a very long time and have never had a problem with it. And I also have very little online that I am too worried about. Like if anybody steals any of my information, I have checks and balances set up with all the credit unions and credit companies and all of these different places. I have a lot of different security measures in place. So I'm a little bit more comfortable with what I store online. If you're not, or if you're still new to it and aren't trusting it yet, try just storing the things that are not as important to you. So for example, in Lastpass, if you're new to this and you're not too sure about storing bank information, which I understand right out of the gate, I was not storing my bank information until I trusted it. If that's you, then pick some of the sites that are not as important for you. So it might be something as simple as a gardening website that you log into, or one of those 5 million places that you have to register in order to then be able to do anything with again, like unsubscribe from them or check your orders, things like that. Use those sites first until you're really comfortable with it. Along the lines of online security and storage, the other item that I wanted to cover today, which many of you probably heard about, I don't know if all of you are using yet, it's Dropbox. I use Dropbox all the time for just file storage. You can also use it for sharing. I don't really use it for sharing. It's not quite as user-friendly as far as sharing goes for me. I use Google Drive to share more often. And I will be talking about Google Drive a bit more when I talk about collaborating with others online, because it has some great features for collaborating with a team. Oh, thank you so much, Mary, and welcome, Sally. I'm glad that you joined. Thank you. And another thing that I do online is I store photos, and Dropbox is where I store a backup of some of my photos as well. We'll talk also one of these days, one of the lives will cover how to store your photos online, and we'll talk about Google Photos and some of my favorite options. But Dropbox also does have some good storage for online photo storage. So Dropbox, if you're not using it yet, there are, like I mentioned, a couple of different sites that are similar that you might enjoy, like Box and Google Drive, but the concepts are the same. one of the things that I wanted to talk about with Dropbox, though, is how simple you can make it to store things online. A lot of the times what we do is we get really nervous about storing things online because we're not sure we'll be able to find it again easily. Oh, I'm glad that you like it, Jeff. It's one of those things that the more you use it, the more confident you get in it, but you don't have to make your file structure difficult. If you're like me and you get distracted by bright, shiny objects and completing tasks might not be the thing that you're best at, so usually when I'm done with the project, I'm off and running to the next project. The last thing I want to do is spend a lot of time filing everything. But filing everything is so essential, so I do have to do it. I have found a way to do it a lot easier. It's sort of my digital cheat. Nowadays, the search function has become so much easier that you don't need to create all these complicated file structures within Dropbox if that's not your personality type. If you are the type who just wants really quick access and it does not have to look beautiful, you just need to find what you need to find quickly, then this file naming strategy is for you. So we'll go back to the screen. I've got my Dropbox open. Now Dropbox, like I mentioned, it works on the phone, both Android and iOS. One of the nice things, pardon me, is that it also works on desktop. Any desktop computer you have, you can install Dropbox, and it works similar to your basic file storage system on your computer. So it's really easy to store things on Dropbox, and it can mirror the drive on your computer. So it can be stored in both the cloud and on your computer, just in case you need it. So offline access, very easy with Dropbox. Within Dropbox, as I mentioned, you can do files. And you can have files within files just like you would in a file cabinet. But my favorite file to create that I use the most now is called To File. Now, in my To File file is everything. So this is the one place I just simply dump all of my files immediately unless they have a very specific need to be in a folder. So you can see that I have several files already in here. This is just a dummy account, so you're not seeing all of my actual files, but these are several files that I just copied over from my files because they were okay enough to share and put them into file to show you a little bit more about this. Here's a bigger picture of the file naming. When I name a file, I do a brain dump of every keyword I could possibly look for in that file. So, for example, I did a speech about kind of what we're talking about now, apps to save time and stress. Now, I also did a PDF afterwards for people that was a recap of that speech. I call these freemiums because I give them away for free, and they're just premium content that I only give to select people. So I would search the keyword freemium, most likely, if I was looking for it. And I would probably search something like freemium apps or freemium speech and try to find my file that way. Another one that I've done is an invoice. This is invoice for mileage when I went to HSN, for the Healthy You program I was on. So I might search for invoice, I might search for HSN, or I might search for Healthy You. I don't know which of those terms I would choose when I'm searching for this file. So I dump every single word that I can think of into that file name so I can search for it easily. So that way, no matter what I search for, it's going to come up. Like if I type in HSN invoice, oops, my phone's being silly. You will see it's matched invoice and HSN. No matter which of these words I start typing in, it's going to match that file for me. So I have no need for a file folder because I can find whatever I need very quickly with just the keywords. If you do this and you just do a brain dump with every single file, it's extremely easy to find what you need. If you're like me, you might just never file them. They might stay into file forever. If you do want a little bit more order, it's also very easy to do a search and find everything named invoice. And every once in a while, just drag it over to the folder and name the folder invoices. Or everything named freemium. So it's very customizable to whatever works for you. Let me fix me again, sorry. I'm looking a little sideways today. But it's very customizable to how you work and what works for you. So if you do use the to-file folder and you prefer things to be a little bit more organized, then feel free. Just every once in a while do a keyword search and then drag everything over to the folder that it belongs in, instead of having to look each time and find the correct folder and file it right then. It just saves a whole lot of time. It's also easy to delegate. If you have an assistant, if you're one of the personality types that does not do well with maintaining information and you have somebody assisting you, you can easily be dumping everything in that to file folder. If you're giving it strong keyword heavy file names, they will know where to file it and they can access information a lot faster. This is great for teams. If you have a business and more than one person is finding the files, or even in a family, if you share files, keyword heavy file names are going to help anybody find the file versus a file system where they have to remember, did you store it under car or automobile or Honda? Where is it? And then they have to search around. If your file name has all of those in it, along with whatever the thing is, like new tires, January 2018, then it's very easy for people to find exactly what they need, no matter who they are. And this becomes even more important as you work with teams and other people also. You should dump every word that somebody else might actually think of. The name of the app is Dropbox. Dropbox.com is where you can find it. They have a free version with a little bit of storage, like I think 2 gigabytes or something like that. And then they have a paid version if you are storing a whole lot more. Then you can pay, and it's not terribly expensive. I pay for it because I use it for all of my business and personal files as well. So those are my 2 foundation apps that I get people started off on immediately, because keeping your password straight from the beginning is the only way to make changing over to a digital life more tolerable. The most frustrating thing is trying to find your passwords and you can't find it. You have to go through the password reset and all of that. It's not good. And writing down your passwords on paper is the most insecure thing that you can do. If somebody finds that piece of paper, then it's just gone. And thieves, when they break into houses, have learned to look for password books and things with passwords on them. So don't write it on paper, please. Don't save it in an unsecure file on your computer or on the internet. No matter, even if you named it, Aunt Harriet's wedding, then there are multiple ways that thieves can find things within files and figure out exactly what is in that file and that it looks like it's passwords. So very insecure. Go for the big bang for your buck. Lastpass is not very expensive. I think they even have a free version, actually. I'm pretty sure that they do. But not expensive. Highly recommend it. Check out the Linda course for much more on details with that. There's also a Linda course with more details on other apps I like. And then Dropbox. Just get your files all named really well, and that will be the life changer for you. Keyword heavy names, I resisted them. I thought that they were crazy. I had a teenage son of one of my clients recommend it to me at one point years ago, and I thought, what? That's crazy. I'm never doing that. And years later I tried it and I never looked back. Best thing ever. Keyword heavy file names, so you just use the search function. No need to file. Once you set those 2 up, you're all set to go. I hope you join me for more of my Facebook Lives about productivity apps and how to manage your home and life. I will be covering so many more, and these are kind of the boring foundation. I have some that I'm really, really excited to tell you about because they absolutely have made life so much easier and more fun. I hope to see you next week, 11 a.m., same time, same place, for my Facebook Live on part 2 of apps to help make you more productive and organize your life. Again, I am Susanna Kay with Spark Organizing. You can find out more at sparkorganizing.com. And while you're at it, check out the 365 Project, where it's an ongoing program to help you organize your home and life. my365project.com. So that's my365project.com. Thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you next week. Love you.